Welcome to KD&D. Today we're going to talk about building a setting in your Spelljammer campaign. We're going to take a look at Chapter 3 of the Astral Adventurer's Guide, where they outlined Rock of Bral. I'm going to explain to you what it has in the setting, what it does not have, and can you use this to create your own Spelljammer Settlement, something in Astral Sea, and how useful would this book and resource be if you're actually running a setting in Rock of Bral proper. This is the map that you get inside of the adventure book. You can see that it's divided up into 3 different city parts, and there's about 15 to 20 different locations outlined on the map. Within Chapter 3, there's more detail on each of those locations, and some of them even have NPCs that may be there. On the bottom side of the map, you can see this is the bottom of Bral, where more of the nobles live. That is also given more detail within the book. Inside the book, there's about 6 pages of information where it details things about the lore, the setting, points of interest, and NPCs that populate them. The only table within here is a list of spells that a temple might assist players with if they need it, and it gives you a gold cost. Inside of this chapter, there is nothing like box text. The only place you're going to find something like that within the box set is on page 22 of the Xerxes book, where it describes an adventuring party coming into Rock of Bral for the first time. What kind of information is inside the book? There is information on the history of the rock, the military and town guard, and there's also information on other social aspects of the game. And I'll give you a quick breakdown of specifics. As far as the history goes, it explains where the name came from, Captain Bral, who has since passed away. After his passing, it existed as a pirate colony for a short while no one necessarily took control until a man came along named Prince Kozar. This individual brought it from a pirate hideout into a main city, and when he died, they passed rule down to his son, Froon, who messed it all up. After Froon's passing, his son Kalar took his place for a mere 6 days before he died under mysterious circumstances, found floating in space. Now the youngest son of Froon, whose grandfather was the original leader after Captain Bral, is currently leading, and a few days after his brother's murder, there was a group of malcontents executed and punished for the crime within days. Andrew is this man's name. He is likened to his grandfather, but a lot of the information tends to hint at possibly him being involved some way in his brother's disappearance. The military aspect gives you 2 rules that the citizens follow. Number 1, mind your own business whenever possible, and number 2, enough gold can fix any problem. If there's something beyond that, like arson or murder, there is a magistrate in each of the cities, high, middle, and low, that handles big crimes like that. And they are given the stat blocks of veterans. If you're running a higher level campaign, I would recommend boosting those up a bit. As far as any social aspects that you could use, there is a list of who's who in the Rock of Bral, where it lists the main political players, as well as other underbarons in a thieves guild, and NPCs at local shops and city locations. It does offer multiple locations within the book for exploration that you could pepper in quest hooks and such. Each part of the city is given at least 5 points of interest, some as many as 10, and they really seem to have crammed a lot into these 6 pages. On the final page of the setting, there is a section where it describes historic enclaves within the book. These enclaves are referred to as the boroughs, the Dwarven District, and the Gift Town. These are just different neighborhoods and have kind of specific factions living within them. So how would I use this book? When it comes to generating a setting for your D&D campaign, I've heard of 2 different methods. The stand method, S-T-A-N-D, and the more facetiously named sperm method, S-P-E-R-M. I'm going to break those down really quickly and then talk about whether this book provides that kind of context. So to break down the stand acronym first, size. I didn't see anything about an exact number of citizens within this book, but I would estimate somewhere between 1 and 5,000 population, depending on how dense of a city you want it to be. For trade in this book, it is themed as a semi-reformed pirate settlement trading hub in space, but it doesn't give us anything more beyond that. Perhaps you could put some sort of rare resource in the center of the rock. The A in stand stands for add-on. We've got our main theme of trade, and beyond that, what do we add into it? What else is affected by it? Well, it is a hub in the middle of space, so there's a lot of fantastical NPCs and things like that that just come with any Spelljammer setting. As far as NPCs goes, the book does provide a healthy number of NPCs for a political campaign. It outlines some of the big players in the city, and each of the sections, if they need an NPC, are usually given a named NPC with a brief description in its paragraph when you look within Chapter 3. Defenses are outlined simply as a group of citizens that kind of keep order by hiring their own help and bodyguards. The citizenry is self-governing with the exception of magistrates that take care of extreme crimes. So the STAND acronym is filled out pretty well by this book. Breaking down the SPERM acronym, S-P-E-R-M, is social first. The box set gives a handful of NPCs and factions to work with, so that works. The political aspect, in P, it clearly outlines a potential campaign centered around the prince and the city's politics, given some key player NPCs. The E stands for economics. It is described as a trading hub. It does give us a few shops, like a star map and a pawn shop. The city's theme is a trade hub, so there's a greater market and a lesser market. And it also has a Monsters Hunters Guild, as well as a plethora of different taverns. The R stands for religion and recreation. This part gives us an athletic arena and a vast library, a theater company. This indicates that there is a variety of faiths that reside within the temple district, where the book also gives you a nice table that tells you how much gold certain spells might cost if the NPCs were to need something like a lesser restoration or a raised dead. The M stands for military. This gives location for barracks around the city, NPCs that populate a few of them, and it clearly explains the law and order. So as far as the SPERM acronym goes for our city building, I'd say this is mostly fulfilled as well. So would I say that this book gives a detailed enough description for me to feel comfortable running the Rock of Bral in my game? Absolutely. I love that it's succinct in only 6 pages and that it's not clogged up with a bunch of different tables. Each location only gets a paragraph or so, and this gives the whole chapter a feeling of being very well organized. Would this be useful for creating your own Wildspace Settlement? Not as much. There aren't a ton of tables or anything like that for you to roll on in here, and you can't really generate a planet or a settlement or your own Wildspace system, but those resources for the most part will exist elsewhere. I would definitely be stealing the layout of this chapter in the future. The quick blurbs about each place that's on the map with the occasional relevant NPC is really nice, as opposed to having the description of a tavern on one page and then the tavern keeper and his employees on another page in an NPC section. Does this give us anything as far as making a setting in the Astral Sea? Unfortunately, it does not. The Xerxes Adventure book gives us 2 sample Wildspace systems that would encourage us to plug and play and mix and match to make our own system, but as far as outside of the Crystal Sphere, on page 38 of the Xerxes book, where the players are heading into the Astral Sea, it gives us a brief bit of box text and the explanation that it will take 21 days to get to their adventure, and then it encourages a few different downtime activities while they're running there, or tells you to roll for a random encounter. So there really isn't a whole lot detailing the Astral Sea in any of this guide. The Astral Menagerie, the monster manual of this box set, does give some roll tables for encounters in Wildspace and the Astral Sea, but most of those are all focused on creature encounters. As far as the Astral Sea goes, there was information about one of them involved a mysterious obelisk, the other one involved a solar watching over the corpse of a dead god. And it's not to say that any interaction with a creature has to result in combat, but I would have liked to see some more fantastical things found out in the Astral Sea besides just a mysterious obelisk. Those are my thoughts. All in all, I think this would be a really good resource if you want to run Rock of Bral. If you want to make your own settlement, it's a good skeleton, but you're going to have to do a little bit of lifting. And if you're hoping to pick this up for some information on the Astral Sea, you're going to want to just look elsewhere on wikis and other YouTube videos. If you made it this far, I appreciate you sticking out to the end. Drop a subscribe and a like while you're still here. I'll see you in the next video.